So did you know that there's a regulatory government entity in the United States that has an obscene amount of control over tech companies all around the world? And I know, the US government is pretty damn big, but what are they even regulating and how does this give them so much leverage over tech companies? Let me tell you a little bit about the FTC and why you should care here at Techonomics. Hey, it's Carlos, always trying to provide you with insight on technology and how it's affecting you and the world at large. Since we live in a time where there is more tech control over our everyday lives than ever, and they keep trying to consolidate to prevent any real competition, it's important to know what regulatory entities exist to put them in their place. So let's give some context to understand what the FTC can do in this respect. So what the hell is the FTC anyway? Well, FTC stands for Federal Trade Commission. It's a federal agency of the United States government that, according to their website, is tasked with protecting consumers and competition by preventing anti-competitive, deceptive, and unfair business practices through law enforcement, advocacy, and education without unduly burdening legitimate business activity. So essentially, they need to 1. Protect consumers from unfair and deceptive business practices, and 2. Maintain competition from anti-competitive mergers and business practices. Which begs the question, how do they do all this? Well, you can think of it in 3 major steps. First, as a regulatory agency, they put regulations on the books to meet their previously mentioned goals. Obviously, regulations that are within their legal authority. Second, they make sure to enforce those regulations throughout the market. If those regulations are for whatever reason being violated, then they sue their ass. And lastly, they have to approve any large mergers from publicly traded companies. This is done to prevent monopolization of industry through consolidation. And while all that other stuff is extremely important as well, it's the merger approval that gives the federal government an extreme amount of leverage over the companies at large. But why is that? Why is consolidation so important to big corporations, and how can the federal government leverage that to help the public as a whole? It's cool and all that the FTC has all of this power, but why do companies even care about any of this? What's so special about mergers and consolidation that makes giant corporations want to play nice with the FTC? Well, to the surprise of absolutely no one, it has to do with money. But more specifically, it's about market power. Mergers are so important to corporate America because it allows them to gain a better control over the market. Basically, instead of making better products and services, then competing with other companies to gain market dominance, companies have found it way easier and cheaper to just buy their competition. And to make things worse, it's not like it's just one and done. They continue to buy up companies again and again until they have a near monopoly over an industry, which is in fact exactly their goal. And there's some really obvious examples of companies that have done exactly this. Probably one of the most infamous examples is Facebook, now Meta, buying WhatsApp for $19 billion. WhatsApp had a solid control over certain very specific markets that Meta's Messenger app had never been able to penetrate. So by buying it, they got a larger market share worldwide and did so by removing a major competitor in the process. Another obvious one is Disney buying Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. And the proof is in the pudding. As a result, pre-pandemic Disney was getting over 50% of the yearly box office when you include all of their studios combined. If that isn't market control, I don't know what is. These corporations don't want to compete in the marketplace. What they want is to have an absolute control over the market. Why? Because that way, customers don't have any choice. They have to buy their products or else they don't get anything at all. And to make things worse, by controlling the market completely, they can just name their price of their products too. And you have to buy it at the price that they say. There is no incentive whatsoever to lower the price at all. Juxtapose that with a market full of competitors where they're all trying to get the lowest price and best value for consumers, as that will bring them more business. With the amount of market control that companies like Amazon have over online retail, Google with search and online video, Luxottica with eyeglasses, Nike with sneakers, and so many more, I think it's mighty time that the FTC got more strict with their approval process of mergers. And there's a great story that highlights this, and I think it's an amazing example of things to come. The FTC just recently rejected Nvidia's bid to buy ARM. For context, ARM is an open source microprocessor architecture that sells the license to use their designs to the likes of NVIDIA, Apple, Qualcomm, Samsung, and many more. As such, it seems pretty obvious that by having the company that owns the license be one of the main companies that uses it, it's all but certain that that company will use it as leverage to get a better control over the market, in turn stifling competition in the process. And here's the thing, this is just the beginning. Because of how much free reign we've given these companies over the course of decades, they feel like they can monopolize to their heart's content. So while this whole thing with NVIDIA is a great place to start, they have to follow through with other industries as well for it to really mean something and have an effect countrywide. It's about time that the FTC uses their regulatory powers to get rid of monopolies and create a more fair and competitive market in the process. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to hit that like button down below, and as always, comment with your thoughts on the FTC. Do you think that my hope for continued FTC action is a good one? Am I asking for too much regulation, or is the FTC a lost cause? Would love to hear your thoughts. As always, Carlos from Techonomics, over and out.